Are you thinking of ditching the office and working remotely in the UAE?
Of course!
Besides zero taxes on your paycheck, you'll get to work on cool international projects and have access to great banking and healthcare. But first, you'll need a work permit and a residency visa.
Tell me how!
The good news, your employer takes care of the applications. The catch, you still need to gather some documents and get a quick medical exam in the UAE, which will include a blood test and an x-ray. The visa process usually takes around 2 months and costs about 3,300. But let's break down the process and the perks of being an expat in the UAE.
Let's do it!
Working in the UAE means you'll absolutely need a work permit. It is the law. It's the only way to legally work and stay for a long period. If you're offered a job while you're still outside the UAE, you'll need a special visa to enter the country for work. Your tourist visa won't work for this. Let's say you're already in the UAE on a tourist visa and you get a job offer.
Okay.
You have two options. You can either leave the country, get the right visa and then come back, or you can ask your new employer to help switch your visa status. This way, you won't have to leave the UAE to get your residency visa and work permit. If you're already living in the UAE with a residency visa, maybe you have a fancy golden visa and you want to switch jobs, your new employer will need to get you your new work permit to make it official. To work in the UAE, you need to check off a few things.
What exactly?
First, you have to be at least 18 years old, no criminal record, and be in good health, i.e. major illnesses like HIV or tuberculosis. Second, you'll need a job offer or an employment contract from a company in the UAE. It's your golden ticket to getting that work visa. Depending on your education level, you'll need to show proof of your qualifications. If you have a university degree, it's not quite as simple as just showing your diploma. So here's the deal. You'll need to get official transcripts of your diploma from your university, and you'll need to get these documents verified by a bunch of official folks. This usually involves your home country's education and foreign affairs departments and the UAE embassy and consulate in this country. If your documents aren't in Arabic or English, you'll also need certified translations. Getting everything verified can take a while, so a pro tip, start this process early.
Excellent argument. Approved.
Once everything is squared away, your employer will submit your documents along with your visa application. One thing to make sure that you do, and this is a personal story that I have, is make sure that you know the status of your visa. So for example, we had a new employee that was to join one of our clients. We received his Emirates ID in order to put through his new visa, and we realized that the person was overstayed for 7 years.
What?
I don't know how this can happen, but the person had a fine, I believe, of about 17,000 that he had to pay because he had overstayed for 7 years. So check if you are overstayed, make sure you're paying your fine.
Never.
Leave the country, come back in on a fresh tourist visa to avoid this. Don't let it overstay for 7 years. If you found this helpful and you have any more questions about what visa suits you, we do residency visas, freelance visas, golden visas, and all sorts of visas. So if you would like to know more, click on the link below to get a free consultation call. Once you've got your job offer and your documents in order, the next step is getting that work permit. This is where the employer takes the reins. They'll handle all the paperwork, including applying for a work permit quota and submitting all the necessary details to the Ministry of Human Resources and Emiratisation, otherwise known as MOHRE. This is a government department that handles everything related to work permits, from assigning quotas, approving applications, and it usually takes around 2 weeks for the whole process, and your employer will take care of all the government fees.
I'll take care of it.
So while you're waiting, you can start planning to move to the UAE. So your employer has got the ball rolling. First thing you're going to need to do is hop online and apply for a work permit quota through the MOHRE website. This tells the government how many people the company wants to hire. They'll need to fill out the company details, type the jobs that they're hiring for, and how many people they want for each job. Once that's done, they digitally sign the application and it's off to the ministry for a review. This part usually takes around 10 days. Once the quota is approved, it's time for the next step, applying for your work permit. Your employer will fill out the separate application for you online, again through the MOHRE website, but this time they'll provide details of you, your job, your salary, and all the good stuff in the employment agreement. They'll also need to scan and attach the required documents to the online application, and the original signed employment contract gets sent to MOHRE separately. This step will usually take around 5 days. Once everything is approved, your employer pays the work permit fee and makes a deposit for you. The amount depends on a few things like the company you'll be working for, the type of work permit you're getting. Think of the deposit like a security deposit. It's usually a set amount equal to the monthly salary plus the cost of a plane ticket to the UAE. This part will usually take 1 or 2 days. So when it comes to paperwork for your work permit and your residency visa, the documents you need are pretty much the same. Your employer will be the one handling all the submissions, so they'll need you to provide them with everything a specialist would ask for.
Give it to me, just give it!
On your end, you need a copy of your passport that's valid for at least 6 months. If you're from Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq, or Iran, you'll also need to provide an IT card. You'll also need your unified identification number when you enter the UAE, and it's stamped on your entry permit. You also need to show proof of your qualifications with a certified diploma, and don't forget a clear photo with a white background. If you have a driving license, a good conduct certificate, and an Emirates ID, you can also include these, but they are not mandatory. Your employer will need their valid trade license, establishment card, e-signature card, and copies of the passports and visas of the company owners, along with a job offer and employment contract. The residency visa is your ticket to living in the UAE, and it can last anywhere from 1 to 10 years depending on the type of visa. Usually it's issued for the same length as your employment contract. Don't worry though, your employer will take care of applying for it, getting it, and paying for it.
Don't worry about it, sweetheart.
If you're still in another country, they'll start by getting you on an entry permit. The whole process of getting a residency permit usually takes about a month. Now let's talk money. Getting a work permit isn't free, but the cost can vary quite a bit. It can be as low as 50 or as high as 3,450, depending on a few factors. First, it depends on the type of company you'll be working for. Since May 2022, companies in the UAE have been divided into 3 categories. Based on how well they follow the rules, treat their employees, embrace diversity, companies that tick all the boxes fall into the first category, while those that break the rules can end up in the third. The cost also depends on the type of work permit you need. There are 12 different types, depending on things like your age, whether you live in the UAE, and the kind of job you'll be doing, part-time, full-time, freelance, project-based, etc. Lastly, if you're not already in the UAE, your employer will have to pay 2 fees. One for applying for your work permit and the other for actually getting it issued. So, there you have it. While the cost can vary, it's all part of the process of getting you settled and ready to work in the UAE.
I'm ready!
Now that the work permit is sorted, it's time for the next step, getting your residence visa. This is the official permission to live in the UAE.
Yeah, baby!
The first step is to get an entry permit, which your employer will do online through either the Federal Authority for Identity and Citizenship, ICA, or the Director General Residence of Foreign Affairs, depending on the emirate you'll be living in. The fee for this permit depends on which country you're coming from, but it's usually issued within 10 days and is good for 60 days. This is the window to get you to the UAE, take care of your medical exam, and apply for the residency visa. Speaking of medical exams, you'll need to head to an approved clinic to get a chest x-ray and blood test to check any contagious diseases. You'll get the results pretty quickly, usually within a couple of hours or a couple of days. Once you have a clean bill of health, you get a health certificate, which you'll need for your residency visa application. If your company's in Dubai, you'll also need to set up health insurance, which can cost at least 500 dirhams a year. Next up is biometrics. You need to book an appointment at a service center to get your fingerprints and have your photo taken.
I just want to take some pictures.
After that, it's time to head to the GDRFA office in the emirate that you submitted your residency visa. The fee for the visa depends on the type of visa and where your company is located. So for example, a 2-year employment residency visa for somebody working in a DMCC free zone can cost around 2,500. Usually employment residency visas are valid for 2 years, but if you're a highly skilled professional, you might be able to get a 10-year or 5-year visa. The 10-year golden visa is for those who can prove their qualifications and earn at least 30,000 a month. The 5-year green visa is for those with a bachelor's degree or higher and have a monthly salary of at least 15,000. The processing time for application is usually about 5 to 7 days, but it can take up to 30 days if the officials need more documents or information. Once your residency visa is approved, it won't be physically stamped in your passport like some other visas. Instead, you can track the application status online using the handy reference number you get when you submit your application. Think of it like tracking a package. You'll need an application number, a reference number, which is like your secret tracking code. Here's how you find out if your visa is ready. So if you've applied for a visa to Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, Ajman, Al Quwain, Ras Al Khaimah and Fujairah, you can track it on the website of Federal Authority of Identity, Citizenship, Customs and Port Security. If you've applied for a Dubai visa or through Amr centres in Dubai, you can track this through the General Directory of Residency and Foreign Affairs in Dubai. You can also check the status through the Dubai Now app, which is a handy all-for-one app for Dubai residents. Once your visa is issued, you can collect it in person or have it delivered to you. It's that easy. Alright, so now you've got your residency visa, that's awesome. Now there are 2 more important cards that you need to get your hands on, which is the Labour Card and the Emirates ID. The Labour Card is like your official work ID. It's issued by either the Ministry of Human Resources and Emiratization or the administration of your free zone. It's got all your essential work details, your name, employee number, work permit number, profession, nationality, and your employer's name. You need to apply for this within 60 days of arriving in the UAE. Now, here's the thing. It used to be a physical card, but now everything's gone digital. You can find it in a Mori app, which is available on both iOS and Android. And if you're working in a free zone, you can get a printable version at a Tasheel service center. The other card you'll need is your Emirates ID. This is like the UAE's version of a national ID card, and everyone needs it, whether you're a resident or a citizen. It's your key to accessing government services, getting through airports faster. If you're a citizen, you'll need it to vote and travel within the Gulf region. To get your Emirates ID, you can apply at type-in centres, customer happiness centres, or online through the ICP website. You'll need your passport, residency visa, and a photo. It usually costs around $170, but if you need it in a hurry, you can get it urgent at a customer happiness centre for an extra $150. The Emirates ID usually arrives in a couple of weeks and is valid for the same duration as your residency visa. Speaking of photos, there's a story that we had a client one time who was quite a difficult client, to say the least. They gave us a lot of trouble at the start, and then when it went to Emirates ID center to get his Emirates ID done, they made a mess up and basically it turned his eyes out the way. It was a little bit of karma, but just always double check what you receive. Yeah, this is probably like one of our toughest clients that we had to deal with, and it's just very funny that the one client that was difficult this happened to, because all the documents were sent correctly from our side. The correct picture was sent, but yeah, just it was like the happiness center knew exactly what we wanted to come back. So yeah, quite a funny mix-up, but as I say, it's the only one I've ever seen, so they're quite good at getting the printing right.
What a story.
So you've settled in the UAE with your new job and visa, but what about your family? The good news is they can join you, but remember, they'll get their residency visas only after yours is sorted. So you'll be the sponsor for your family, which means that you need to apply for their residency visas within 60 days of arriving in the UAE. There are a few rules about who can sponsor. It depends on gender and how much you earn, but if you're a guy, you can sponsor your wife, sons under 21, daughters of any age, and your parents. To do this, you'll need to be earning at least $4,000 or $3,000 if your employer provides accommodation. If you want to bring your parents, you'll need to earn $20,000. These numbers are for Dubai and might be different in other Emirates. If you're a woman, you can sponsor your husband, sons, and daughters of any age. The rules are a bit stricter for women. In Abu Dhabi, you'll need to be earning at least $10,000 or $8,000 with accommodation, and you'll need to work in a specific field like engineering, teaching, medicine, nursing. In Dubai, you need to earn $10,000, but your profession doesn't matter as long as you get permission from the authorities.
Just remember who you're working for.
No matter who you're sponsoring, they'll need to be in good health. Anyone over 18 will need a medical check, needs to be approved from a health center, and if they have a serious contagious disease like HIV or tuberculosis, they won't be able to get a visa. But if they have an inactive pulmonary tuberculosis that's being treated, they might be eligible. Kids can get residency visas too, but there are a few conditions. Unmarried daughters can always be sponsored, but sons need to be under 18, and if they are between 18 and 21, they need to be studying at a university. Stepchildren can also be sponsored, but you'll need a deposit for each child and permission from their biological parents. If you want to sponsor your parents, they'll need a bank deposit as security, and you'll need to show that you're their main provider and that there's no one else to take care of them back home. You'll also need to get full medical insurance coverage for each parent. When it's time to apply, you'll need to fill out an online application or go to a type-in centre. You'll also need copies of everyone's passports, marriage and birth certificates, and proof of your employment and salary. If you have a son who's studying, you'll need this university certificate. Don't forget the medical clearance certificates for anyone over 18, photos on a white background, and proof of their address in the UAE. The residency visa for your family members will usually last for 1 or 2 years, depending on your visa and who you're sponsoring. Parents, stepchildren, and student sons get 1-year visas, while other family members get 2-year visas. Keep in mind that these visas need to be renewed, and if your visa gets cancelled, so does theirs. They'll have 30 days to get a new one after your one is cancelled. So there you have it. While there are a few hoops to jump through, bringing your family to the UAE is definitely possible. Okay, now that you're all settled in, let's talk about what happens when your work permit is about to expire.
That's all, folks.
Renewing it is a breeze, and your employer will take care of everything. They'll simply apply through a type-in centre or an official Mori website, and you'll need to provide the same documents as you did when you first got the permit. The fee for renewal depends on the type of company and work and your specific situation. Once your work permit is renewed, your employer will also renew your residency visa, Emirates ID, and your labour card. It's a similar process to when you first got them, but you'll only need to apply within 30 days of their expiration date to avoid any hiccups. But what if you're leaving a job in the UAE?
Why?
In that case, your employer will need to cancel your work permit. They can do this by going to a typing center or online through a Moray website. They'll need to provide some information about the company and you, along with a copy of your passport and your residency visa details. They'll also need your signature on a cancellation form to confirm that you've received all your dues and benefits. It's a straightforward process, but it's important to make sure it's done correctly so that you can leave the country with no issues. If you're wondering how healthcare works here, in our video we'll dive into everything from top-rated hospitals, futuristic tech, to a nitty-gritty of insurance and costs. So whether you're worried about finding the right doctor or just curious about those amazing medical cities, this video is for you.